One of the most powerful transformations that can happen in a woman's life begins the moment she truly understands her worth. Many people move through relationships constantly trying to prove themselves, constantly hoping someone else will finally recognize how valuable they are. They give more time, more energy, more patience, and more forgiveness than they should, believing that if they just love harder or try harder, the other person will eventually step up. But the truth is that the moment you truly recognize your worth, everything about your energy changes. And when your energy changes, the way people treat you begins to change as well. A woman who knows her worth does not walk into a relationship begging to be chosen. She walks into a relationship already knowing she is valuable. She does not measure her importance based on how often someone texts her, how quickly someone calls back, or how much attention she receives on a particular day. Her value does not rise and fall depending on someone else's mood. Instead, it is rooted deep within her character, her self-respect, and the understanding that she brings something meaningful into any relationship she enters. Many people make the mistake of thinking that confidence comes from beauty, money, or popularity. Those things can create attention, but they do not create real confidence. True confidence comes from self-respect. It comes from the quiet understanding that you deserve honesty, effort, kindness, commitment from the people who enter your life. When a woman has that understanding, she stops tolerating behavior that diminishes her peace. When someone truly knows their worth, they stop accepting excuses that once seemed normal. They stop chasing after people who offer inconsistent effort. They stop ignoring red flags simply because they are afraid of being alone. Instead, they begin to value their peace more than the temporary comfort of staying in a situation that does not truly honor them. This shift is powerful because people instinctively recognize self-respect. When someone sees that you respect yourself, they realize they must treat you with the same respect if they want to remain part of your life. And if they do not, they quickly discover that you are strong enough to walk away rather than accept less than what you deserve. Many relationships struggle because one person keeps lowering their standards in order to keep the other person comfortable. They tolerate broken promises. They forgive repeated disappointments. They accept attention only when it is convenient for the other person. Over time, this creates an unhealthy pattern where one person is constantly giving while the other is simply receiving. But the moment a woman truly understands her worth, that pattern cannot continue. She begins to set clear emotional boundaries. She understands that love should never require her to lose her dignity or silence her needs. She knows that if someone truly cares, they will show it not only with words, but with consistent actions. Knowing your worth does not mean becoming arrogant or treating others poorly. It simply means refusing to shrink yourself in order to make someone else comfortable. It means recognizing that you bring kindness, intelligence, loyalty, and strength into a relationship, and those qualities deserve to be appreciated. When a woman carries herself with this level of self-respect, something interesting happens. She becomes calm in situations that once would have made her anxious. She no longer feels the need to compete for someone's attention. She does not waste her energy trying to convince someone to see her value. Instead, she simply continues to live her life with confidence and purpose. That calm confidence is incredibly powerful. It creates an energy that people can feel even before a word is spoken. It is the energy of someone who is not desperate for approval. It is the energy of someone who knows that if a relationship ends, her life will still continue with strength and direction. When a man encounters a woman with this kind of presence, he begins to see her differently. He understands that she is not someone who will tolerate being treated as an option. He realizes that if he wants to keep her in his life, he must show genuine effort and respect. Many men are used to situations where they can take their time deciding how serious they want to be. They may delay commitment because they believe the other person will always be there waiting. But when a man sees that a woman truly values herself, he begins to understand that she will not remain in a situation that lacks clarity or commitment forever. That realization can change everything. Suddenly, he begins to think more seriously about his actions. He becomes more intentional with his time, his words, and his effort. He begins to consider the future because he understands that losing someone who truly knows her worth would be a real loss. The power of knowing your worth is not about forcing someone to commit. It is about creating an environment where the right person naturally wants to commit because they recognize the value of what they have found. People often believe that love requires sacrifice, and in many ways it does. But healthy sacrifice never requires someone to abandon their self-respect. Real love grows strongest when two people respect themselves and each other equally. A woman who knows her worth does not need to beg for loyalty, honesty, or commitment. She simply expects it. And if someone cannot provide those things, she has the strength to walk away with dignity rather than remain in a situation that slowly erodes her confidence. Over time, this mindset transforms every relationship she experiences. She becomes more selective about who she allows into her life. She invests her time and energy in people who genuinely value her presence rather than those who only appear when it is convenient. And the most powerful part of all is that this confidence is not something that depends on another person. It comes from within. It grows from self-reflection, personal growth, and the decision to treat yourself with the same respect and kindness that you hope to receive from others. When a woman reaches this level of self-awareness, she no longer wonders if she is enough. She no longer questions whether she deserves love and commitment. She knows that she does. One of the most powerful shifts a woman can make in her life and relationships is learning the difference between chasing someone and attracting them. Many people believe that love is something that must be constantly pursued, constantly protected, and constantly forced through effort. They think that if they stop texting first, stop checking in, or stop proving their loyalty again and again, the relationship will disappear. This belief often leads people to chase attention, chase reassurance, and chase someone's affection in ways that slowly reduce their own confidence. But attraction does not grow through chasing. Attraction grows through presence, independence, and self-respect. When someone spends all of their time trying to secure another person's attention, they unknowingly create an imbalance in the relationship. The person being chased begins to feel too comfortable, too certain that the other person will always be there, no matter how little effort they give in return. When someone is always available, waiting, and always trying to please, their presence begins to feel predictable. Predictability can slowly weaken attraction because mystery and excitement begin to disappear. The relationship starts to feel one-sided, where one person is constantly giving energy while the other is simply receiving. The moment a woman stops chasing and begins focusing on her own life, something very different begins to happen. Instead of trying to hold someone's attention, she begins living in a way that naturally attracts her. Her energy changes because she is no longer acting from fear of losing someone. Instead, she is acting from confidence and self-respect. A woman who stops chasing does not ignore someone out of anger or play emotional games. She simply redirects her attention toward the parts of her life that truly matter. She invests her time in her passions, her growth, her friendships, her health, and her personal goals. She builds a life that feels meaningful and fulfilling whether she is in a relationship or not. This kind of independence is incredibly attractive. When someone has their own purpose and direction, they radiate a kind of confidence that cannot be faked. People are naturally drawn to individuals who seem happy, driven, and emotionally balanced. That energy signals strength and stability, qualities that many people admire deeply. When a man notices that a woman is not constantly chasing him, he often begins to feel something he may not have felt before. Curiosity. He begins to wonder what she is doing, what occupies her time, and why she seems so content even when she is not seeking his attention. That curiosity often leads him to invest more effort into the relationship. Humans naturally value what they feel they might lose. When someone realizes that a person is not desperate for their presence, they begin to recognize that the relationship exists because both people are choosing it, not because one person is clinging to it. This realization often increases respect and emotional investment. Stopping the chase also protects emotional energy. Many people exhaust themselves by constantly analyzing messages, waiting for replies, or worrying about whether they have done something wrong. They spend hours thinking about small details that may not even matter. This emotional stress slowly erodes their confidence and happiness. When a woman stops chasing, she frees herself from that cycle. Instead of spending her time worrying about whether someone else is paying attention, she focuses on living her life fully. She enjoys her days without constantly checking her phone or wondering what someone else is thinking. This shift in focus creates a powerful sense of peace. When someone feels peaceful within themselves, their interactions with others become more natural and relaxed. They are no longer trying to impress or secure someone's approval. They are simply being themselves. Authenticity is incredibly attractive. When someone is not performing or trying too hard, their personality shines more clearly. Conversations become more genuine, laughter feels more natural, and the connection becomes deeper because it is not built on pressure. Men often admire women who have their own ambitions and passions. A woman who is excited about her life sends a strong message that she is not waiting for someone else to complete her story. She is already writing her own story, and a relationship would simply become a meaningful part of it, rather than the entire focus. This dynamic creates a healthier relationship because both people feel value for who they are, not for how much attention they give. The relationship becomes a partnership rather than a situation where one person constantly seeks validation from the other. Another important part of attraction is emotional balance. When someone constantly chases another person, they often appear anxious or insecure. Even if their intentions are loving, the constant need for reassurance can create pressure. Over time, that pressure can make the relationship feel heavy rather than joyful. But when a woman carries herself with calm confidence, the energy becomes lighter and more appealing. She communicates clearly, but she does not beg to be heard. She expresses interest, but she does not sacrifice her dignity to maintain attention. This balance creates a space where attraction can grow naturally. When a man sees that a woman values her time and energy, he begins to value it as well. He understands that if he wants to be part of her life, he must invest effort and intention. He recognizes that her attention is something meaningful rather than something automatically guaranteed. Attraction thrives when both people feel they are choosing each other freely. It is not built through pressure, fear, or desperation. It grows when two people respect themselves and each other enough to create a balanced connection. The most powerful part of stopping the chase, internal transformation it creates. A woman who focuses on her own growth begins to see herself differently. She develops new skills, experiences new opportunities, and builds confidence through her achievements and personal development. As her life becomes richer and more fulfilling, her presence becomes more magnetic. People notice her enthusiasm, her energy, and the way she carries herself with purpose. She no longer feels like someone waiting to be chosen. She becomes someone who chooses carefully, who deserves a place in her life. When a man encounters a woman with this mindset, he often feels a deeper level of respect and admiration. He understands that she is not trying to hold on to him out of fear. She is simply sharing her life with someone who values her presence. One of the most underestimated forms of strength in any relationship is the power of silence. Many people believe that every problem must be confronted immediately with long explanations, emotional reactions, constant attempts to make the other person understand their feelings. When something feels wrong, the natural instinct is often to speak louder, argue harder, or repeat the same point again and again in the hope that the other person will finally understand. But in many situations, the more someone speaks, the less their message is truly heard. Silence, when used with confidence and emotional control, can communicate more than 1,000 words. It is not the silence of fear or insecurity. It is silence of someone who understands their value so deeply that they no longer feel the need to constantly prove it. This kind of silence carries a quiet strength that changes the entire dynamic of a relationship. When people react emotionally to every disappointment, they often give away their power without realizing it. Arguments escalate, feelings become tangled, and the real issue becomes buried under layers of frustration and defensiveness. In those moments, the conversation is no longer about understanding each other. It becomes about winning the argument or protecting one's ego. But When a woman learns to master the power of silence, she removes herself from that cycle. Instead of reacting immediately with anger or desperation, she pauses. She observes. She gives herself the space to process her emotions before responding. This simple act can transform how a situation unfolds. Silence creates space, and space creates awareness. When someone stops reacting emotionally, the other person is suddenly left with their own thoughts. There's no argument to distract them and no dramatic reaction to focus on. Instead, they begin to reflect on what just happened and what it means. This reflection is powerful because many people only recognize the impact of their behavior when they are given the chance to truly think about it. Constant arguments can sometimes create noise that prevents genuine understanding. Silence removes that noise and forces clarity. A woman who understands this does not use silence as punishment or manipulation. She uses it as a form of emotional maturity. She knows that not every situation deserves an immediate reaction. Some situations require calmness, patience, and the wisdom to step back rather than step into conflict. When someone constantly reacts with intense emotion, they often appear overwhelmed or out of control. But when someone responds with calm silence, they appear composed and confident. That composure changes how others perceive them. It signals that they are not easily shaken and that their peace is not easily disturbed. This type of energy naturally commands respect. People tend to respect those who respect themselves enough to remain calm in challenging situations. It shows strength of character and emotional discipline, qualities that are incredibly attractive in any relationship. Silence can also reveal truths that words sometimes hide. When someone stops trying to convince another person of their value, the other person must decide for themselves how they truly feel. Without constant reassurance or emotional pressure, their true intentions become clearer. If someone truly values the relationship, they will notice the change. They will recognize that something is different and begin to question their own actions. They may ask themselves why the usual arguments are not happening anymore, or why the emotional reactions they once expected have disappeared. This curiosity often leads to deeper reflection. A man may begin to wonder if he has taken someone for granted. He may start to realize that the calm distance he now feels could mean he is at risk of losing someone important. That realization can create a powerful shift in his behavior. When someone fears losing something valuable, their attention and effort often increase. They begin to notice the qualities they may have overlooked before. They start to appreciate the presence that once felt guaranteed. Silence also protects emotional energy. Constant arguments drain the mind and heart. They create stress, confusion, and exhaustion. When someone steps away from unnecessary conflict, they protect their inner peace. This allows them to think more clearly and make decisions that truly serve their well-being. A woman who values her peace understands that not every battle needs to be fought. Some conversations are only productive when both people are calm and willing to listen. Until that moment arrives, silence can be the most intelligent response. There is also a powerful sense of dignity in silence. When someone refuses to beg for attention or repeatedly explain their worth, they demonstrate a deep level of self-respect. They show that they believe their actions and character speak louder than endless words. Over time, this quiet confidence becomes impossible to ignore. People begin to notice the difference between someone who constantly demands attention and someone who naturally commands it through their presence. Silence also encourages healthier communication in the long run. When someone is not reacting emotionally to every situation, conversations can later happen with greater clarity and mutual understanding. But people have had time to reflect, calm down, and approach the discussion with a more balanced perspective. This does not mean avoiding communication forever. Healthy relationships require honesty and open dialogue. But the timing and emotional tone of that communication matter greatly. Silence allows emotions to settle so that conversations can happen with wisdom instead of frustration. When a woman masters the power of silence, she no longer feels the need to chase validation through arguments or emotional outbursts. She understands that her worth does not need to be shouted to be recognized. It exists quietly in her character, her behavior, and the way she carries herself. This quiet strength often leaves a deep impression. A man may begin to realize that he is dealing with someone who values herself enough to protect her peace. He may start to recognize that this kind of calm confidence is rare and meaningful. And when someone realizes that they might lose a person who carries themselves with such dignity and emotional strength, they often begin to reevaluate their actions. They start to ask themselves whether they are giving the respect and commitment that such a person truly deserves. Silence, in this sense, becomes more than the absence of words. It becomes a statement of self-respect. It shows that a person trusts their value enough to let their actions, boundaries, and quiet confidence speak on their behalf. One of the most powerful shifts that can happen in a woman's life is when she decides to become the kind of person who is truly valued, respected, and difficult to lose. This transformation does not happen by trying to impress someone or by changing who she is to fit someone else's expectations. It happens when she commits to becoming the strongest, healthiest, and most confident version of herself. When a woman focuses on her own growth and purpose, something remarkable begins to happen. Her presence changes, her energy changes, and the way people respond to her begins to change as well. Many people enter relationships believing that their happiness depends entirely on whether someone chooses them. They invest so much emotional energy into keeping the relationship alive that they slowly forget to invest in themselves. Over time, their world becomes smaller because their focus is centered on one person's attention, approval, or affection. But the moment a woman begins to rebuild her focus around her own life, she starts to rediscover her strength. Becoming the woman someone fears losing does not mean creating fear through manipulation or emotional distance. It means building a life that is so rich, purposeful, and fulfilling that anyone who becomes part of it understands how valuable that connection truly is. It means becoming someone whose presence brings peace, inspiration, and stability to the people around them. Personal growth is a key part of this transformation. When a woman invests time in learning, improving her skills, and expanding her knowledge, she becomes more confident in her abilities. That confidence is not loud or arrogant. It is quiet and steady, built on the understanding that she is constantly evolving and becoming better each day. This growth gives her a strong sense of identity that does not depend on someone else's approval. Taking care of physical and mental well-being also plays an important role. When someone prioritizes their health, energy, and emotional balance, they naturally become more vibrant and positive. They carry themselves differently. Their posture, their expressions, and the way they interact with others reflect the fact that they value themselves enough to care for their mind and body. This level of self-care sends a powerful message to the world. It shows that the person understands their own value and is willing to invest in their well-being. People are naturally drawn to individuals who radiate vitality, positivity, and emotional balance because these qualities create a sense of comfort and stability. A woman who builds a meaningful life outside of a relationship also becomes far more attractive. When she has passions, hobbies, friendships, and ambitions, her life becomes full of experiences and opportunities. Is not waiting for someone to bring excitement into her world because she is already creating that excitement for herself. This independence creates a powerful sense of mystery and respect. When someone has their own direction and purpose, they are not easily controlled or taken for granted. Their time becomes valuable because it is filled with meaningful activities and goals. Men often admire women who have their own ambitions and dreams. A woman who is passionate about her work, creativity, or her personal growth shows that she is capable of building something meaningful in her life. This type of ambition signals strength, determination, and resilience, qualities that many people deeply respect. When a man sees that a woman is not dependent on him for happiness, something interesting happens. Instead of feeling pressured, he feels inspired. He begins to see her not as someone who needs him to complete her life, but as someone whose life he would be lucky to be part of. This shift in perception can change the entire dynamic of the relationship. Another important quality that makes someone difficult to lose is emotional maturity. A woman who understands her emotions and communicates calmly creates a sense of safety in a relationship. Instead of reacting with unnecessary drama or constant conflict, she approaches situations with thoughtfulness and patience. Emotional maturity allows her to handle challenges without losing her sense of balance. She listens, reflects, and expresses her feelings with clarity rather than anger. This kind of stability is rare and incredibly valuable because it creates a relationship environment where both people feel respected and understood. Kindness is also an essential part of becoming someone truly valued. Strength and independence do not mean becoming cold or distant. True strength includes compassion, empathy, and the ability to uplift others. A woman who treats people with genuine kindness leaves a lasting impression on those around her. When kindness is combined with confidence and self-respect, it creates a powerful combination. It shows that a person is strong enough to stand on their own while still caring deeply about the well-being of others. This balance makes relationships healthier and more meaningful. As a woman continues to grow, improve, and build her life, her presence naturally becomes more magnetic. People notice the way she carries herself. They notice her calm confidence, her positive energy, and her ability to bring warmth and inspiration into a room. This type of presence cannot be created through manipulation or short-term effort. It develops over time through consistent self-improvement and a genuine commitment to living with purpose. When someone builds this kind of life, they no longer feel the need to compete for attention or affection. When a man recognizes that a woman embodies these qualities, he begins to understand how rare they are. He realizes that someone who is confident, kind, emotionally balanced, and passionate about life is not easy to find. That realization often creates a deeper level of respect and commitment. He begins to understand that if he does not appreciate her, someone else certainly will. And when someone recognizes the true value of what they have, they often become far more intentional about protecting and nurturing that connection. This is why becoming the best version of yourself is one of the most powerful anyone can make it. It is not about trying to make someone chase you or forcing someone to stay. It is about building a life that reflects strength, purpose, and authenticity. When a woman lives with that level of confidence and self-respect, she does not need to beg for commitment or attention. The right person will naturally see her value and want to secure a future with her because they understand how special it is to have someone like that in their life.